Welcome to the Fair and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. This may not come as a surprise to anyone in business, but cash flow continues to be a major cause of financial stress. What may shock many, though, is just how big the problem is becoming, with rising costs also forcing Australian small business owners to dip into their personal savings or increase prices. Will Buckley is the Country Manager Australia for global small business platform Xero, which is a great supporter of this podcast. Will, welcome back to Fair and Greed.
Thanks very much for having me, Sean.
Xero's recently released a report on the impact of economic conditions on the cash flow of Australian small and medium-sized businesses. Just how big a challenge is that at the moment, and why?
It's a huge challenge at the moment. We look to try and keep a finger on the pulse of how small businesses and small business owners are feeling throughout the entire economic cycle. So in the latest cycle, 60% of business owners have shared that over the past 12 months, they have run into some cash flow distress, whether that's personally or in their business. So over a quarter of small businesses are now dipping into their personal savings to keep their businesses afloat. And more than a third say that they're not even able to pay themselves. So the cash flow crunch for small businesses is certainly here, and we really want to shine a spotlight on how our small business owners are feeling so that we can help the entire small business sector get out of this cash flow crunch and ride some waves into the next economic cycle.
Okay, so those numbers you're talking about, 60%, a third of them, so many of them not paying themselves. How do they compare to normal times, whatever normal times are?
Yeah, look, the small business sector is quite diverse and broad, and it covers sort of all of your industries, not just primary, secondary, and services. But you've got all of your trades, you've got professional services, you've got hospitality, you've got retail. So each of those different industries is going to go through a different economic cycle. But what we're seeing at the moment and over the past 12 months is that this particular rate of inflation that has escalated over the December holiday shopping period has put all of those industries in a pretty challenging position. So 51% of businesses have shared that they are getting their invoices paid late, and that is amounting to now over $1 billion of cash flow slowness or cash flow debt in terms of the amount of time it's taking businesses to get paid. So it has been escalating as the rate of inflation has been going up over the past 18 months.
It must have a great flow-on effect. If you've got half the businesses not paying on time, the business receiving the money then may not be able to pay its creditors either, and it just sort of becomes this vicious cycle.
It makes it so challenging because when we have the debate and all of the advice from accountants and bookkeepers when they work with their clients is always centered around balancing the best possible cash flow outcome for the business owner and the business themselves. But as you pointed out, quite often that can mean pushing out your payables and focusing on time to get paid on your own invoices. But we do go in that vicious cycle. So where we want to shine the spotlight is on the roles that everyone can play on helping small businesses and making sure that overall the economy understands the role that cash flow has to play in keeping the engine room of these small businesses going. So as consumers, paying our invoices on time to business owners, and wherever we can, just making sure that we're communicating and keeping it really clear with business owners so that they can make it easy to pay their invoices as well once their invoices are getting it paid. So shortening the cycle on how quickly we can get businesses paid, but also helping those businesses then on pay quickly as well is really important.
Will Buckley from Xero, I have never thought of it this way, but the way you just described that, it's kind of like everyone has a role in this. You don't have to have a small business to have a role in it. So we have painters at our place at the moment. So if we pay the painter on time and ahead of the due date, that kind of helps the painter out. And in a sense, it's my 2 cents worth to help the small business sector. I haven't thought of it that way, but it's like a holistic national problem which we all can kind of contribute to the solution.
Absolutely. It all comes down to just removing as much friction and time out of how quickly we can circulate currency and money through our economy. So getting our bills paid as quickly as possible. And it's not always easy to pay them straight away. And that's totally understandable because you might be waiting for the next invoice of your own to get paid. But yeah, it's across consumers, it's across small businesses, and it's also across big businesses as well. Big businesses play a huge role in making sure that their suppliers in their supply chain are also making sure that their invoices are getting paid on time, if not early. So it is absolutely an entire supply chain challenge that we all should face into as Australians.
Stay with me, Will. We'll be back in a minute. I'm speaking to Will Buckley, Country Manager, Australia at Xero. Okay, I mean, I kind of want to get on to sort of more forward-looking things, but I'm just interested. I think you said 25% or thereabouts were people putting their savings into their small business, and a third weren't taking a wage. I'm not sure they were the numbers, but I think they were about right. That's really worrying if people aren't taking a wage, even more worrying if they're actually spending their own money or putting their money into the business.
Yeah, it is. So almost a third are dipping into personal savings and a third are saying that they can't pay themselves.
Right.
I mean, it is a big problem. And I guess one of the other stats that we've seen in the report that came through is that when individuals go out to actually set up a business, obviously the first thing that you want to do is you want to test out the idea and talk to friends and family and trusted people in your network about going out to start a business. And one of the stats that came through was almost 70% of business owners that are in business today have actually had those conversations with friends and family and been met with a negative response. So there seems to be, like, even in the early days of where people are exploring the idea of going into business, a little bit of a negative sentiment and a conservative sentiment around whether or not that's the right thing to do. But on the flip side, everyone that has started a business, 60% of those people that we surveyed said that they wish that they'd started sooner. So there's perhaps some myth busting that we can do to really make sure that we're supporting business owners if they have a great idea and they want to go deep into the serving their local communities, to get out and do it and work with people that have done it before and that are there to support them, like accountants and bookkeepers. So then we don't get into the trap of some of these flow down effects of not necessarily being able to pay themselves and dipping into personal savings. So yeah, really tapping into the expertise and experience of people that have been there and been on that journey before, that can share some of the lessons that they learned. Because I mean, what we've seen is it's a continuous learning opportunity for business owners that they go on when they start their business. No one gets it right the first time. Being able to lean on trusted confidants in your network and people that have done it before is super valuable.
And presumably that feeds into forecasting cash flow reasonably accurately.
It does. And what we've seen is there's no silver bullet to solving cash flow and monitoring it in real time and maintaining a nice, healthy balance. But it's probably the sum of a couple of parts and a couple of tactics that we see that start to add up and become quite significant when they all combine. And it is around setting up a really good invoicing workflow to make sure that you're getting paid as quickly as possible by using technology to connect to Payment Gateway for whether it's direct debits or online invoice payments, making sure that you do have a real-time view of your cash flow so you can manage what payments are coming in and what payments should be going out. And then once you get that real-time view of your cash flow at your fingertips, you then have more confidence to understand how much you should be paying yourself or what's the right level of investment to start to look to build your business and invest in maybe some equipment or some new products or whatever might be relevant for that business. So that real-time view of your cash flow is just a really critical piece, and technology's come a really long way recently to help business owners take that first step with confidence of understanding their cash flow position from the very beginning.
And I appreciate this is a Dorothy Dixon because you are from Xero, Will, but just the idea of using technology to be able to do that, it must alleviate a lot of the stress from running businesses. And as we're talking here, I know that you guys have done some work also on the significant personal impact this sort of thing has on business owners, but it must be nice for business owners at times to actually have to worry about that a bit less.
Oh, of course. I mean, 45% of small businesses admit that they are worried about their personal financial future, and 48% are concerned about the business's financial future as well. So those are two financial health metrics that we track. But just overall, it's not just about financial wellness. There are other categories of wellness, such as mental well-being, and making sure that business owners are able to feel comfortable and in control of the decisions that they want to make, and they can feel connected and as close as possible to reaching the goals that they originally set themselves when they went out to build their business. So it's really important that we connect that financial well-being with personal and wellness as well, and don't just look at the financial side in complete isolation from how business owners are looking and feeling themselves internally about their business. So yeah, lots of positivity and reinforcing anything we can do to help business owners feel in control and have that real-time view of their cash flow comes through in the report as being really helpful for business owners feeling comfortable that they can navigate the current economic environment.
Will, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thank you very much, Sean.
That was Will Buckley, Country Manager at Xero, which is a supporter of this podcast. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.